Pretty nice turnout. I am pretty happy with it. So thank you very much again for showing out, and especially for GTV and those viewers at home that are watching us live on Channel 20 here in Geauga County. I'm going to call to the front Tom O'Neill. He's actually going to lead us in prayer. So once Tom gets up here, if you wouldn't mind bowing your heads for a word of prayer.
Father, I want to thank you for bringing us here today safely at the Kent State Geauga campus as we hear from our candidates, local and national candidates tonight. We ask you to be with us and help us to be open-minded and listening and learning to all the different views and opinions. And we thank you for the fellowship, and we thank you for all of the wisdom and grace, and we ask you this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Tom. And right now I'm going to give the floor to Rob Allen. Rob is actually running for a position, but at this time he is going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would especially like to thank Rob because he is our advisor here. So would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, folks. Can you guys hear me okay? There. Yep. Again, my name is Rob Allen, and I am the advisor for this fantastic young group of people here, who I want to take a moment to introduce to all of you. These guys pulled this together in just under 2 weeks. They came up with, like Chad said, they're a new group of young people here at the campus. We got organized late in December. In January, we had our first meeting, and here we are now, getting candidates together. Having this open for the public is a great thing that these kids can pull off. Everywhere I go when I'm running for office, I hear people say, boy, I really wish there were more young people getting involved. This is what it takes right here. These kids getting involved, and they're bringing their friends, and they're getting more people involved in politics and getting involved in the Republican Party, and that's a great thing. Chad Randall, president of the group, goes here to this campus. He's seeking a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree. He's a minor in Business and Psychology, and Chad has always been involved in his community and especially enjoys helping the troops and those who are hospitalized. Chad? Brittany Knife is the vice president, is a marketing major who excels in academics, and she also loves to paint and is very excited to be an affiliated Republican. Joel Harvey, where's Joel at? Joel's over here. He's our treasurer. He's a freshman here at Kent State. He's majoring in education of mathematics and language arts. Joel currently works at the Pinnacle Woods Paintball Field in Chardon, and he enjoys performing in theatrical productions at the Geauga Lyrics Theater Guild, which is a community theater. Bailey Hill. Where's Bailey at? Bailey's in the back here behind the cameras. You won't see her at home. Bailey is a nursing major here at Kent State Geauga. Her goal is to become a nurse practitioner one day. She loves being outdoors and playing soccer. Bailey also likes to participate in 5K races and triathlons in order to help various charity groups. Bailey? And finally, Tyler Bontrigger is our secretary. Thank you. He's a freshman here at KSU. He is a nursing major whose goal is to become a nurse anesthetist. Sorry, he handwrote this. He loves traveling and enjoys running 5Ks. He is currently working as an accounting assistant at a local insurance agency. We have like I said, we have a young group of people here that got together and pulled this together in a really short period of time. They're going to be running this tonight. I'm a candidate as well, so I'm going to hand this back over to them. But I told them I wanted to lay out the ground rules really quickly. Each candidate will come up. They're going to go in order of the sheet that you have there, from top to bottom. Each candidate or their representative will have 3 minutes to speak. Bailey's in the back here with cards, so we can keep everybody to that 3 minutes as much as possible. If that fails, I'm sorry. Brittany's going to come in here. and drag them off the stage. So we can keep to that 3 minutes. We have to keep to that as much as possible. If you have questions, Chad and Brittany will come around and they will collect those and they will ask the questions at the end. They will not ask questions of individual candidates. If there is a group of candidates running for a specific position, such as judge or president or whichever, that question will be directed at that group of candidates. Those candidates will have 1 minute to come up and answer that question, and then be seated again, and then we'll move on to the next question. That will be after all of the candidates have spoken. Okay? With that, I'll turn it back over to Chad.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob. We appreciate that. Just a couple of reminders. Well, actually, one reminder, and then I have 3 speakers that are all total going to take less than 5 minutes, and then we can get on for what we're here for, which is listen to the candidates speak. So I'm sure you might have seen on all of the tables, it looks like there's going to be a breakfast here at Geauga. It's for the scholarships, Kent State Geauga scholarships. And it's brought to you by the Geauga County Township Association. This has been going on for quite a little while. And if you do have any questions, if you wouldn't mind directing those after the candidates do speak to the gentleman in the back, if you'd like to raise your hand. Okay. And it really is a nice thing. I believe they do $500 scholarships, if I'm not mistaken, for the whole career. Is that correct? While they're in?
3.
For 3 years. For 3 years. So. Especially helping those out every way that they can. So any more questions than that, you can see the pamphlets, which are on the tables. Now I'm going to turn the mic over for less than 2 minutes to Mr. Dave Warren. For those of you who don't know Mr. Warren, he is with the Ohio Republicans Party, so he's going to speak here just for a second.
Hi, my name is David Warren. I'm the Northeast Field Director for the ORAC. When everything changes or when we figure out who our presidential candidate is, I will be leading the Northeast for the RNC. One of the things I want to really make a comment about Chad and this group. I have started a lot of high school, college, and YR clubs, not only in Ohio, but also in Maryland. It all started in 2012 when I was running the Youngstown office, because I was there with the RNC. I was told, good luck, have fun, you're not getting any help. We ended up being number 3 in the state. But most importantly, I had about 20 high school kids that really just bust their tails, did everything that they were supposed to do. And one of those guys that came out of that group did probably 50,000 phone calls, probably 20,000 doors. That guy's name is Tex Fisher. I'm the one that found Tex. So if Tex ever gives you a hard time, call me. So, but anyway, in all seriousness, at the end of the day, we have a primary. There's winners and there's losers. You have the winner goes on, the loser has to back the winner. To you guys right now, keep this civil. I'm being serious. Because everybody, it's just, I know things can get emotional and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's us versus them. That's it. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warren. And next up, we have Alana Masterangelo. And Alana represents the Turning Point. She is the director for this part of Ohio. So, Alana.
Hi, I'm Alana, and I'm at Turning Point USA, the Ohio Field Director. We're a non-profit, nonpartisan organization that promotes limited government, less taxes, fiscal responsibility. And our mission is just mainly to go onto the campuses, find like-minded students, and kind of get them motivated, involved, and all the like-minded student groups, we work alongside them and get them just, create that momentum and that presence onto campus, because a lot of it is not as popular on college campuses. So we're just trying to build that, and that's the purpose of our organization. And I have a table back there if you guys want to stop by afterwards and chat or get more involved. So that's it.
Okay, and thank you very much. Next on the list, I do have Mr. Christian Pancake, and where are you, Christian? Oh, perfect, yes. Christian actually is the president for the Ohio College Republican Federation, correct? Okay, and here you are, Christian.
Thank you, Chad. Like he said, I'm Christian Pancake. I'm the chairman of the Ohio College Republican Federation. I'm a student at Kent State main campus in Kent. We kind of oversee all of the chapters in Ohio. We have 32, 33 growing. I've had a lot of new interests starting up. So I know it was mentioned earlier about the importance of involvement of young kids in our civic process and in the Republican Party, and it's kind of cool to see that on a daily basis. So what Chad's doing is terrific. It's awesome to see, even to the branch campuses where it can be much harder to start a club like this because there's so much movement with people and things like that. So we're really excited to have a chapter here, and this event's terrific, especially being at a lot of college Republican events across Ohio. Not very often you get this much interest. And this much excitement around one, and I'm excited to hear what the candidates have to say. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we're going to start the speeches, and again, each candidate will be called up in rank order and given 3 minutes. So we are going to start with the presidential position. So we do have a student here, I believe goes to Kent State, going to be representing Mr. Donald Trump for the position of the U.S. presidential candidate.
Hi, my name is Andrew. Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm an intern with the Donald Trump President campaign here in Ohio. I was asked to come speak here, and I'm really excited and want to thank Kent State, Geauga, College Republicans for inviting us. For me, supporting Mr. Trump ultimately is a decision of economic conservatism. I think all of our candidates claim to be economically conservative, but ultimately it's about what they've done in their life and what kind of what they've shown in their economic conservatism. Mr. Trump, he advocates for a tax policy that, first, the corporate tax policy, he wants it down to 15%. Not only does that support and welcome more business into the United States, but it also welcomes more than $3 trillion in offshore wealth that we can potentially bring back in when it is welcoming to the business environment. In addition to that, he wants to alleviate some of the more crushing income taxes on some of the lower classes, where if you are in a household that makes $50,000 or below in your annual income, you will pay 0% in an income tax. It's stuff like this that can ultimately really help not just the middle class grow and the upper class continue to do well, but also bring the poor up into the middle and upper class. That's my first big thing for Mr. Trump. For my second thing, and this is really big, for veterans' causes, I feel that, once again, like with economic conservatism, you really need to show your stuff if you support veterans. Over his lifetime, a 40-year career in business, Mr. Trump has donated millions of dollars to veterans groups across the country. And one big story that really touched my heart is in 1999 with Rudy Giuliani as mayor of New York City, the 50th anniversary for New York City veterans, their parade only got 100 viewers. Mr. Trump thought that was a disgrace, and he himself donated $1 million to get the parade restarted and going again, and served as the Grand Marshal. It's things like this that show me that he does care about our veterans, and as president, he would work to create a more welcoming environment for our veterans, both on health care and in general. My last thing, for the importance of Ohio, I feel that right now, the only two candidates in Ohio are John Kasich and Donald Trump. The only other candidate that sees the importance of Ohio, a state that no Republican has ever won the presidency without, is Donald Trump, and he has 6 paid staff here already. I think that's really important, and it shows that he does have a national campaign with a huge ground game across the country, 23 states. So, once again, I'd like to thank you all for allowing Mr. Trump to have some representation here, and I hope to see your vote for him come March 15th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the U.S. Senate now. We should have two two people here. I'm going to turn the stage over, or the mic over now to Mr. Don Eckhart, who is running for the position of U.S. Senate. And just a quick reminder, because we are on TV, if you could please talk into the mic. I know viewers at home might not be able to hear otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chad.
Down, too. It's in the middle of your faces.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chad. I appreciate you organizing this and your group. Appreciate you sponsoring it. I've already given my entire campaign speech to Carl and Bob, so they can fill you in on anything that I omit. I do have flyers out over here. I wish you would take one. I have a website. I'm on Twitter. In fact, here's one that I just posted today. I'm on Facebook, and you can find them with, if you're not savvy technologically, you can find them with this cheat sheet, so to speak, that's on this bigger sheet, or on the card, you can find my posts where I have a lot of policy positions. I went to school, had a lot of education, 2 master's degrees, one from, interestingly enough, the same school that Donald Trump went to. You know what that is? It's the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. He and I both graduated from the same school there. He was there before I was. He was a little bit older than me. Not a whole lot, but a few years older. So I got a degree there, worked in governmental budgeting and finance for a whole career. And I went to go to Washington to get our budget balanced for a change. Our current politicians have said they want to do that, but won't do it and haven't done it. And by the way, I'm on a low-budget campaign, so many of you haven't heard of me, and it's really hard to get hitchhiking up here to Cleveland. I'll let you know. But, you know, when you're on a low budget, you do what you need to do to meet the voters, right? So I also had, as I said, a career in government budgeting, and so I will get the balanced budget, and Congress needs to step it up. Congress needs to declare war on ISIS. This would be the first. Wouldn't this be something if Congress finally did something they took responsibility for? And this would set the terms, and therefore the president wouldn't have as much authority. And what happened with the Pacific Trade Agreement? Congress allowed the president to negotiate the Pacific Trade Agreement, and then what's going to happen? They're either allowed to say yes or no. Congress needs to step it up and take the responsibilities that they have constitutionally. The Congress has so much responsibility, and yet, and they're the closest to the people because representatives are elected every 2 years. And by the way, I have run for office before. In 2004, I ran as an independent for a state legislator. I got 9%. And I told my wife I won. She said, "What do you mean you won with 9%? I said, "Well, 9% for an independent, you're winning." Yes, you're winning big time. And with 10 seconds to go, I also ran for Congress in 2008, and I won that year too, even though I only had 4%. Now I'm running as a Republican. I had to do this because of my job. I was nonpartisan in the Ohio legislature, and I was an independent at the time. Now I'm running Republican, and I ask for your vote, Don Elijah Eckhart. Thank you.
Next up, we have Dylan Lloyd. He is representing Senator Rob Portman, who is running for U.S. Senate.
Hi, everyone. As you said, my name is Dylan Lloyd, and I'm the Northeast field rep for the Portman for Senate campaign. I'd first like to thank Chad and the rest of the college Republicans here for having us. As a former college Republican, just graduated last year, I think it's awesome to see a college Republican chapter, especially put on an event like this on a branch campus, which doesn't happen often enough. So great job, guys. A little bit about Senator Portman. Anyone who knows him knows he's working really hard for us down in Washington. He opposes the Iran deal. He opposes Obamacare strongly. He has a 100% rating from the National Right to Life Association, and he has an A rating from the National Rifle Association. And he's doing a really good job down there for us. He's working hard. And a little bit about our campaign. I am on the campaign side of things. I run the Cleveland office. We're based out of Brecksville. Campaign-wide, we've done 1.2 million voter contacts since last May, which is a huge number. more than any other campaign in the country. Our office alone in Northeast Ohio has done over 250,000 voter contacts as of December. So we're probably well over 300,000 by now. We're working really hard to get the senator elected. We're working hard to make sure that we hold this seat in the Senate, and that we're on to victory. The Republican wins the White House. We're laying the groundwork for the grassroots organization that will move in here once the presidential organization comes in. So thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it, and we hope we can count on your support on March 15th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have the position for U.S. Congress, and I'm going to ask whoever is representing Congressman Dave Joyce to please step forward at this time.
Oh, darn, I can't take this off. Nope, didn't work. I'll be like a rock star. I'll hold it. I like to hold stuff and walk around when I talk. My name is George Phillips. I have the honor and privilege of being here tonight representing Congressman Dave Joyce. And as a fellow Golden Flash, I want to thank you guys for what you're doing. Now, when I went to Kent, the Flash was still in the egg, about to get hatched. But thank you. It's always nice to come back to the alma mater. I'm here representing Congressman Dave Joyce. I want to tell you just a couple things about him, but then I want to change gears and kind of tell you more of a personal story about the congressman, how he's affected me and affected some people that I know very personally. Obviously, he's very big with national security. He's here to help boost our military, strong supporter of our military. I mean, that's hands down, strong supporter of our veterans, and that's one of the stories that I'm going to tell you shortly. Fiscal responsibility, Congress gets a budget. He gave back over $300,000 back to the U.S. Treasury. He didn't need to use it, so he gave it back, which, as a constituent, that's kind of nice, because that's my money too. Protecting the Great Lakes, that's a very, very strong issue right now. There we go. About protecting our Great Lakes. Obviously the tragedy and the issues going on in Flint, Michigan is terrible. We obviously don't want that happening here in Northeast Ohio, so Dave has been a very big champion on legislation to protect our Great Lakes. He's been endorsed by the National Right to Life, the Ohio Right to Life, and the National Rifle Association. So with that being said, and I know I have a very limited time, when Congressman Joyce became our congressman a few cycles ago, as a citizen, I actually felt represented. As a constituent living in Lake County, living in Willoughby, Ohio, I actually felt represented by him. I had some questions, some issues. I called his office on a personal basis, and my question got answered. My phone call got returned. I have 1 minute. I have a neighbor, a veteran neighbor, who served his country in Vietnam, who saw me cutting my grass and said, "George, can you help me with this issue?" I said, "Sure." He told me what it was. I immediately called Nick over in Dave Joyce's office, and within 1 day, that issue was solved. That's the kind of person that you have as your congressman. He cares. He cares about his constituents. He cares about his veterans. He cares about each person he represents. So I'm asking for your vote for Congressman Dave Joyce on March 15th. Or if you're voting early, thank you for already voting. Or if you're voting absentee, thank you for already voting. But my name is George Phillips. If you have any questions about the congressman, please feel free to visit davejoyce.com or justdavejoyce.com. Check out the website. Check out the social media pages. There's phone numbers on there that you can call. There's a platform on there that you can read. So if you have any questions, please use those resources to help educate yourself for when you make your vote. And again, I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, George. Next up, we have Carrie Quay, who is representing Matt Lynch as U.S. Congressman.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again to the Young Republicans. This is a wonderful event, and we appreciate being invited to it. I am Carrie Quay, and I am the campaign chairwoman for the Matt Lynch for Congress campaign. I am also his oldest daughter. So, just so you all know exactly where I'm coming from. So I have quite a few personal stories I'd love to share with you also. But I want to tell you a little bit about the campaign. We're really excited about it. We've had such wonderful grassroots efforts. We have over 700 volunteers currently that are knocking on doors, calling people, putting flyers in the mailbox. Because, well, we don't have quite as much money as our opponent, so we are actually having to do the work, and, you know, as you can see, my shoes are starting to fall apart from knocking on so many doors. But that's really what we find when we talk to people out there and share with them the message that Matt Lynch has, a conservative message about smaller government, lower taxes, a strong country where our military is strong, because we believe that when America is strong, the rest of the world is strong. You know, getting rid of Common Core, actually closing down the Department of Education would be a good place to start with us, because we don't believe that they should be dictating from Washington what we're doing with our kids right here locally. So my father is also really strong in the pro-life area. He has been endorsed by the Greater Toledo Right to Life, Summit County Right to Life, Cleveland Right to Life, Portage County Right to Life, Geauga Right to Life, and Lake County Right to Life. Actually, to share with you a story about my dad, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, and he was working during the day and going to law school at night. We didn't see him that much at that point. And my mom was doing volunteer work at Birthright and Womankind. He came home one day to a teenager in our home. And that teenager had been kicked out of her house because she had an unplanned pregnancy. And that started a litany of teenagers and young women that came to our home and stayed with us, sometimes for a couple days, and sometimes throughout their whole pregnancy. It was really cool for me because I thought, these teenagers in my house, it was like the greatest big sister ever. So that was really amazing. But the reason I share a story with you is because when my dad doesn't just commit something when he's running for office, he doesn't start talking the talk when he needs to send you a flyer. These are things that he has been doing his entire life. Well, I should say his entire adult life. I would say it's probably more accurate. But he actually walks the walk. He believes in what he's telling you. You can see on the flyers on your tables some of the areas that are really important to him. You can all see differences between the incumbent and ourselves. So we humbly ask for your vote on March 15th. And thank you again, Kent State, for having us.
Next up for the Ohio State Senate, we do have Rob Allen.
Thank you. I had a primary opponent up until last Friday who had to drop out for personal reasons. His name is Randy Law. He's a very good guy. He's the chair of the Trumbull County Republican Party. And I just want to say I really wish him all the best. He was a good guy, and I hope he's doing okay. That being said, I have no opponent in the primary now. So I can ask for your vote on the 15th, and I do. But I would prefer to say what I've been doing since I started my campaign back in December. The first thing somebody told me when I walked out and started walking through Ashtabula, Trumbull, and Geauga counties was, no one cares about Northeast Ohio. I heard that over and over and over on every door I knocked at. When I talked to people in businesses, I heard no one cares about Northeast Ohio. So I started asking a lot of the business people and the people at these doors, what is it that you need? And they said, well, we need somebody to go to Columbus, and we need somebody to go there and represent us, to go there and talk about the things that we need, because we don't think anybody's listening. Well, for 30 years, the people in the 32nd District have sent Democrats down to Columbus. And I guess you have to kind of ask yourself the question, if you keep sending the same people there, why do you expect any different results? Okay. I'm a Republican running for the 32nd District. I want to keep this short because I know we're short on time, and I really don't have anybody to run against in the primary. But I've already been endorsed by Ohio Right to Life. I expect the endorsements from the NRA and Buckeye Firearms shortly when those come along. I've talked with all those people. I'm big with the law enforcement community in the area. I work here at Kent State as a security officer. Prior to this, I was with the Virginia Tech Police Department, and prior to that, the chief at Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I understand the community and the drive between the community and the education sector. And the business people in the area have been telling me the same things too. The big thing they need to see is to grow their businesses more is infrastructure. And I think that's one of the big things I want to focus on when I get down to Columbus. They need reliable natural gas, they need reliable internet, they need reliable electricity, reliable phone, because we have businesses here that are here now that want to expand, and they can't because they don't have those resources. It's a very simple thing, and it's something we can easily achieve down in Columbus as your representative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. Next up, we have Scott Kaiser. He's representing Sarah LaTourette as state representative.
Good evening. My name is Scott Kaiser. I am representing Sarah LaTourette, our current state representative. She represents most of Geauga County. She does not have Chardon and the Northeast Townships, but to tell you a little bit about her, first off, she's my wife, so I'm horribly biased when it comes to her record. I think she's doing a great job. She couldn't be here tonight because she is in Columbus doing what we elected her to do, but she currently serves on the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee, Health and Aging, State Government, and she is recently appointed as the Vice Chair of the Insurance Committee. So she's got a pretty busy load down there representing our interests in Geauga County. She's committed to our farmers and our agricultural heritage in this county, so much so that she worked with the local farm bureau to arrange a tour of our local farms and bring up the chairman of the Agricultural Committee, who I don't think's been here in quite a while. It was great for him to meet our farmers, see our farmers, and hear firsthand from them the issues that they're dealing with and how what happens in Columbus impacts them. She also recently, she had her first bill signed into law last June, 6 months after taking office. It was House Bill 6. It extends the statute of limitations for cases of rape and sexual battery where there's DNA implication. Common sense legislation, but sadly no one had taken it up and done anything about it, so she led that charge and got that passed through. Pretty unprecedented for a freshman to have a bill signed into law within 6 months. She's also committed to being a bipartisan leader. She founded a Ohio Future Caucus, which is aimed to empower millennial legislators and address the issues that face our youth in Ohio. We have a lot of brain drain youth, people our age and younger leave the state after they graduate looking for career opportunities. We have to figure out a way to keep them in the state and keep them here because they are one of our greatest resources. But her bipartisanship does not mean that she has a moderate record. She was ranked recently by the Republican Liberty Caucus of Ohio as the 7th most liberty-friendly member of the legislature out of 99. It's pretty impressive. So she has a consistent record of leading for our conservative principles. Fortunately, she doesn't have a primary. I think that's a testament to her record, but we would appreciate your support in November. She does have a Democrat opponent, and if you ever have any questions, she holds her monthly office hours here at Kent State Geauga. She's already met with the college Republicans, and they're a great group that obviously did a great job putting this on. They have our full support. And if you ever have any questions, reach out to her. She's always available, and she's very responsive. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Scott. So next we have a represent here for Judge Colleen O'Toole. Judge O'Toole was actually running for the Ohio Supreme Court. Mary O'Toole? Is Mary here? Mary's ill. Okay. We're going to move on. We have Attorney Ron Tamburino. Ron's actually running for the 11th District Court of Appeals.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Chad and the organization. You've done a great job putting this together. My name is Ron Tamburino. I'm a candidate for the 11th District Court of Appeals. The 11th District Court of Appeals hears cases that are appealed from trial courts in 5 counties: Ashtabula, Trumbull, Lake, Geauga, and Portage. My wife of 22 years and I reside in Ashtabula County with our 6 children on an operating farm. The qualifications for any position of judge in Ohio are set forth by the Supreme Court, and the qualification is simply that you have to be a lawyer for 6 years. I have a little bit more experience than that, and I want to tell you about that experience very briefly and point out that you can go to a website called judicialvotescount.org. It's judicialvotescount.org, and you can see a lot more information on there about my qualifications. But the high points are that I had a private practice for 5 years, and then I went to become an in-house litigation attorney at the Sherwin-Williams Company, and I have a total of 33 years experience handling trials and appeals in every state in the country and locally when I was in private practice. The other experience I have that I think adds to my qualifications immensely is that I'm a 3-term elected township trustee in a township in Ashtabula County, so I have the experience of managing local government. My wife and I also manage some small businesses. I retired from the Sherwin-Williams Company in 2014, and we're focusing on operating our farm, running our small businesses, and thankfully I'm very selective in the type and number of cases I take in private practice now. So I'm running for Court of Appeals judge because I think there are some issues that need to be improved at the court. And the most important issue is the timeliness of the issuance of opinions. In my opinion, justice delayed is justice denied, and we need to reinstill a work ethic in the Court of Appeals that, in my opinion, my opponent doesn't share. So please go to judicialvotescount.org, get some more information about my qualifications. And the last thing I'd like to say is that a lot of candidates for judge will tell you that they believe in a conservative interpretation of the Constitution and they don't believe in legislating from the bench. Remember, any person who's a candidate for a judge at the Court of Appeals or at a trial court level, when they say that, you have to remember that they still exercise judgment. And when someone is exercising their judgment, their values come out. And the length of their service in previous jobs, previous business opportunities will say a lot about their judgment. So, Ron Tamburino, please remember me when you vote for 11th District Court of Appeals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Next up, we have Blake Greer. He's running for County Commissioner.
I'd like to thank the members of the Kent State Young Republicans for the opportunity to speak here tonight. There are also, if anybody has questions, there are handouts on one of the tables over there that have more of my resumes or accomplishments. I am your County Commissioner, Blake Greer. I'm respectfully asking for your vote on March 15th. I'm asked quite frequently, as all the candidates are, what the most important issue facing Geauga County is, and more often than not, people will tell you it's the heroin issue, the drug issue in Geauga County. It's serious, it's real, we can't arrest our way out of it. It's a very problematic issue. I'm committed to working very, very diligently with law enforcement to find a cure or at least a method to try to get this under control. I've lived in Geauga County my entire life. I've got a long history of public service. I joined the Army when I was 18 years old. I spent a year in Vietnam fighting in 67 and 68. I've been on the Chardon School Board for 8 years. 4 of those years I was the president of the Chardon School Board. I was on the Auburn Career Center Board for 3 years. I've been a member of the Republican Party Central Committee for 12 years. I was the vice chairman of the Republican Central Committee for 6 years. I have a litany of other agencies and service organizations that I've helped out over the course of my history in public service. I would respectfully ask for your vote on March 15th so that I can continue to fight against the narcotic heroin issue and also to try to bring, as a small business owner for over 20 years, to bring more economic development to Geauga County. The problem is we have wonderful kids here, and when they graduate, we don't have jobs for them. And then they end up having to leave and go somewhere else, and that's unfortunate. So I would like to concentrate more on that. I thank you for your time. Please remember me on March 15th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I did want to throw in a quick note real quick. So for County Commissioner, there are 2 chairs, for those of you who do not know. So Mr. Blake Greer is running for the first chair. These next 2 speakers, Nancy MacArthur and Nick Fishbach, they are running for chair number 2. Also, any questions in that, especially for those that came in a little late, if you wouldn't mind just jotting them down, they will be collected at the end. We will collect them and ask them. Now I'm going to turn the mic over to Miss Nancy MacArthur, who is running for chair number 2 for County Commissioner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy MacArthur, and I'm running for County Commissioner. I'm the current mayor of the city of Chardon, where I've been serving there for over 6 years. and I was on Planning Commission for 5 years prior to that. I am also the current chair of the party here, and I've been on Central Committee for 4 years. My husband is here in the audience somewhere. We've been married for 35 years. We have 2 children. We have a son, Keenan, who's a high school senior, and will be going to Ohio State, go Bucks. And we have a daughter who's studying at Ohio University, and she's a grad student. So I've been here in the area for a while. I have some concerns about the county, and I'm running because I feel that we need a full-time commissioner. The incumbent commissioner is not serving in the full-time capacity that I believe is necessary to make a difference for this county. So county commissioners are the taxing, budgeting, appropriating, and purchasing authority of our county. However, I believe an engaged commissioner should also promote economic development and find ways to increase revenue for much-needed county services. I'm going to take an active role and work with county stakeholders like the Geauga Growth Partnership in attracting companies and good job opportunities for our young people, and to provide a stable and growing tax base for our schools and our residents. I have a proven track record of over 10 years in public service, 15 years of community service, and over 30 years of professional business experience. I believe that we need competent, experienced leaders who are committed to working full-time and with the other county elected officials and staff to get things done. In my first term on Chardon City Council, I spearheaded a state performance audit and to improve our operations. And in the course of that, we identified almost $500,000. I also helped create a revitalization district to support our current businesses and to attract new ones. We hired a new city manager and 3 new department heads and are maintaining a strong management team which implemented prudent financial practices, and it resulted in a AAA bond rating. There are only 10% of Ohio cities that currently have that rating. We have kept our city fiscally sound, efficiently run, and poised for healthy economic growth. I don't take sole credit for all the things that we have achieved on City Council. We work together to get things done because we care about our community, and we want to do what's best. And I will do the same as your Geauga County Commissioner. We live in one of the best counties in Ohio, and I want to continue to keep it that way. So I'm asking for your vote on March 15th as your county commissioner. You can find more information on my website, nancymacarthur.com. And again, I ask for your vote, and I thank these wonderful young people for having this event here tonight. They're a real inspiration to all Republicans. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next up, we have Nick Fishback, who's running for Chair 2 Commissioner.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. And Chad and the Young Republicans, thank you very much. This is really wonderful. It really is. Folks, I tell you what, I stood here and I listened to Nancy. And we have a lot in common, Nancy, I'll tell you. We really do. I have nothing bad to say about her at all. Folks, let me tell you something. My name is Nick Fishbach, or Nicholas Fishbach. I've lived in Geauga County my whole life.
Mike, please.
Can you hear me now? I've lived in Geauga County my whole life, and I love it here. Always have. Now, the only time I haven't lived in Geauga County is when I served my country in the United States Marine Corps almost 50 years ago. But I came back. I stayed here. My wife and I, we live in Burton, Ohio. We've been here for the last 30 years with my son Samuel. I've been involved in local politics for a long time. Kind of low-key, I kept it that way. But to give you an idea of what I've been doing, I just finished my 4th consecutive, or non-consecutive term as mayor of Burton Village for a total of 16 years. One of the things I'm really proud of as being mayor, the 16 years, every year, I had a carryover in the budget. I'm very fiscally responsible. I also served as a term as council. I also served on the Board of Public Affairs. And I also served as a Middlefield Township trustee. So I guess I've done a little bit of everything in local government that way. Now, Since I only have 3 minutes, I am going to read some of this here. I retired from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources after 34 years of service. I retired as a district manager and law enforcement supervisor for District 3, Northeast Ohio. I was stationed out of Henderson State Park. That's where I was most of the time. Maybe some of you remember me there, because I recognize a lot of you people in here. It's really nice to see some friendly faces. Well, after I retired, I still continue doing things at the state. I'm not on the state level, but working out of the Manor House. Some of you might remember me as the gentleman who does Ohio history tours and stories and ghost stories at the Manor House. I also worked for 10 years as the chief ranger of the Geauga Park District. Many years ago, I was the first chief ranger. And for many years, I've been commissioned as the deputy sheriff of the Geauga County Sheriff's Department. I still am. In short, I have many years' experience in public service, as an administrator, public relations, and marketing specialist.
And I am very sorry, we are having to stay strict, so 10 more seconds to wrap it up, and we do have to get on to stay on our time limit.
Okay. Listen, folks, I take this job very seriously. I also want to be a county commissioner. I'll do a really good job for you. I'll work hard. There's a lot of things I want to do in this county, especially for our business, economic development. We need to do that. I'd like to have your vote on March 15th.
Thank you very much. Move on to the county reporter. We do have two positions, two candidates that are here for that. I'm going to give the mic over to Mr. John Powell.
My name is John Powell, and I'm running for Geauga County Recorder. I made a list of different things to consider. I'm honest. I do not lie. I believe in doing the best you can as often as you can. I'm extremely positive and hardworking. I believe no one is better than anyone else. I've been a boss and a teacher of the trades for over 30 years, owning my own construction home improvement business. I know how to get people to work together, and I prefer compliments to criticism in the work environment. I believe the best education comes from experience, and I will learn the office of recorder from the staff and reteach them to be more efficient. I am humble and I love people. I will never find a better place to live in this world because my friends are right here in Geauga County. I've never had a TV. I read lots of books. I enjoy finding all the mistakes in the books. I believe anyone can do anything they set their mind to, and I would like to make sure the young people believe this as well. I have a logical mind and great patience, and I don't anger easily, and I can also solve almost any problem. I'm not a politician. I have never campaigned or run for an office, but if I win, it will show that regular people can get involved and make a difference. Donald Trump is not a politician either. He's a businessman and actually understands what mathematics is, something our government is having problems with. People say I have better hair than Donald Trump. I want to serve my community, and although this office has little political power or control over revenues or procedure, it will allow me to be in an environment where county employees and officials frequent. Current recorder has been in 8 years, and she's done a fine job. But I believe in term limits, and I believe that some people like to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But where would our country be if you thought like that? There's never going to be advances in society without new ideas. I would like to say some words about how I like to live. I believe in setting goals, never giving up. Don't say can't. Believe in yourself. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. take chances, make mistakes. If you fail, you get to practice being brave. Get involved in our political system. There's a lot of people that don't vote because they're afraid to admit that they've never voted. So we need help getting more people to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next up, we have Sharon C. Gingrich for the recorder as well.
Good evening. I am your full-time county recorder, and I am in my second term as county recorder. My job is to protect and preserve your land records and to make sure they're properly recorded and searchable. We have to adhere to over 1,000 sections of the Ohio Revised Code to make this happen. We record the documents, digitize them, and send them to you the next day, or sooner if you re-record. I have digitized over 850,000 document pages since I've been recorder. In 2014, I introduced e-recording. It saves trees, fuels, staff time, and more importantly, it expedites the mortgage process, which gets you into your home faster. We will have indexes online very soon. Our vendor is working on that right now. I have been fiscally responsible and have returned money to the general fund every year. The Office of Recorder isn't about politics. It's about serving you, the members of the county. You are my number one priority. And some of the things I've done to serve you have been the Good Deeds program. It helps you to sort out your estate matters so that at the loss of a loved one, when you're grieving, you don't have to go through probate court. When I found out that our veterans needed a form of photo ID, I started issuing photo ID cards for them. I've issued over 1,000 of them. I brought the Century Bicentennial Farm Program to Geauga. It's a way of showing recognition to our hardworking farm families who have been farming the land for over 100 years. I served on the legislative committee of the Ohio Recorders Association and fought fee increases that would have come to us. Half of our revenue is taken by the state. I've been working very hard to get that revenue back. And last year, it almost happened. It passed through the Senate, but got thrown out of committee. We were this close to the governor's pen. I've got a lot I want to do for you. Please vote for me on March 15th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we're going to move on to the Court of the Common Pleas. We do have 4 candidates for that position. So Bridie McDeany, she is going to be our first candidate.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Bridie Matheny, and I am a Republican candidate for Judge of the Geauga County Court of Common Pleas. Thank you all very much for letting me speak with you tonight. I've been a practicing attorney for over 16 years, and for the better part of the last decade, I've served as an assistant prosecuting attorney in Geauga County Prosecutor's Office. Prior to my public service, I litigated numerous cases in state and federal courts throughout Ohio and in jurisdictions across the country. I also have served as an appellate judicial law clerk, where I've drafted hundreds of opinions on all matters in civil and criminal law. This is particularly important because any judge of the Court of Common Pleas will have before them all areas of civil and criminal law. Currently, I am the Civil Division Supervisor in the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office, which is the largest division in the Prosecutor's Office here in Geauga County. On any daily basis, I give advice and counsel to all of the officials, boards, commissions, and agencies in Geauga County and its townships. I also assist with the prosecution of criminal cases. As I'm sure you probably are aware, many of those crimes involve drugs and substance abuse issues. For example, I prosecuted a known drug dealer that was dealing marijuana, heroin, and cocaine in the Kenston School District. When law enforcement went to his residence to execute on the search warrant, they found numerous drugs, including marijuana, lots of cash, and a loaded firearm. I boarded up that known drug dealer's house and have prevented those items from getting into the hands of children and other Geauga County residents. I was born and raised in Geauga County. I grew up in South Russell Village. I graduated from Notre Dame Cathedral Latin High School. and my husband Matt and I are raising our 2 sons in Bay Ridge Township. I am committed to public service, and I am committed to the betterment of our community. I've been honored and privileged to serve Geauga County and its residents and its townships in a legal capacity. I sincerely hope that you will vote for me on March 15th for Judge of the Geauga County Court of Common Pleas. Thank you.
Thank you, Brady. Next up, we have Carolyn Poschke for Common Pleas Judge.
Hello. I'd like to, am I good here? I'd like to echo the comments of many of the others that have come up and say thank you very much to the college Republicans here at Kent State. Keep up the good work and stay involved in politics, especially the Republican Party. I'm Carolyn Paschke, and I'm running for the Geauga County Court of Common Pleas Judge. I am currently a magistrate there in the court. I was hired by Judges Forsberg and Judge David Fury to serve in this capacity. I run a courtroom. I have managed, I've heard hundreds of cases and issued over 100 decisions in my time as a magistrate. I'm the only candidate with this experience, and I feel this is very relevant for this position. I feel it puts me in a position where I can provide stability to the court and provide the attorneys and the parties that appear before the court with provide them with the advantage of my experience and what I have been able to established over this time. Prior to my appointment as magistrate, I had a law practice here in Geauga County for 17 years. I tried cases in courts throughout Northeast Ohio before judges, magistrates, and juries. And I had a general practice. I had cases in real estate cases, in probate cases, in criminal cases, bankruptcy cases, domestic relations, a number of cases. I had that experience that I can bring with me and that knowledge I can bring with me to the court. I am also a longtime Geauga County resident. My family is originally lived in Russell Township, and I have lived in Newberry. My husband and I are raising our children there. I would ask you to take a look at my website, www.paschke4judge, and to take a look at more of my qualifications and more of my information. And I'd ask you to consider voting for me on March 15th in the Republican primary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have David Andre, again running for Court of Common Pleas Judge.
Thank you, Chad. Good evening, everybody. My name is David Andre, and running for the Court of Common Pleas. I started my career in Geauga County when I joined the law firm I am still with, Thrasher, Dinsmore, Dolan, and Chardon. Joined them when I was a law student, and I started clerking for them. I've been with them ever since. When I started, we were 5 attorneys, and we're up to more than 20 now. I'm proud of that career there. I'm proud of the firm that we built. What I'm really been blessed with is because of the nature of this general practice that I've been a part of, I've been exposed to a wide variety of significant legal issues and disputes. I have been in many jury trials, bench trials, labor arbitrations, zoning appeals, all kinds of different adversarial type proceedings where over time you learn the art and science of being a trial attorney. I think this is important in this race because the trial judge has to manage exactly that program when they conduct both bench and jury trials. And I think I have the most experience of all the candidates in doing that. While I have been conducting a largely litigation-oriented practice, I've also been law director, the solicitor is the official name, in 3 of the 5 Geauga County municipalities. I was solicitor for Burton for more than 20 years, South Russell 15 years, I'm still there now. The only reason I left Burton was because the meeting nights changed and it conflicted with my other responsibilities. I've also been, for nearly 4 years, I was solicitor in Middlefield Village. I've been counsel to the Geauga Park District for more than 20 years and currently still serve in that role. So I think that combination of events gave me a lot of exposure to a lot of different personalities, and I have been renewed continuously in those communities. Finally, I wanted to add that I have served the community. I was board chair for UH Geauga Medical Center, the hospital. 15 years on that board, 3 years as the chair. I was the Geauga Bar Association president. I was president of Geauga United Way and a number of other boards I've served on, including Birthright Lake County, when I was just out of law school. I think that experience qualifies me. I think that my peers recognize that. The Geauga County Bar Association poll came out today. I received more of the highly recommended votes than any of the other candidates. Those are the other lawyers knowing us and judging us, and I'm very proud and flattered to have come out with the most highly recommended votes in that. So I hope you will look kindly upon my candidacy, and I also ask for your vote March 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Mark Porter, who's also running for judge.
Good evening, folks. My name is Mark Porter, and I'm running for judge in the Common Pleas. I'd like to thank the Kent State Republicans, young Republicans, for giving us this opportunity to go ahead and talk to you all. Briefly, I was raised in Russell Township. My folks moved out there in 1973, and I've been in Geauga County pretty much my whole life after that, except for the 12 years I spent on active duty in the Navy, and the 4 years I spent working at a pharmaceutical company while I went to law school at night, or because I worked a night shift, sometimes I went to law school during the day. So for 4 years I did that, and meanwhile we raised 2 children. But when the time came to exit law school and take a state bar exam, I decided to come back home to Geauga County, Ohio. And people often ask me as I was leaving the pharmaceutical company, why on earth are you going back to Ohio? I said, because I've been all over the world, and it's the greatest place on earth. And I would rather be there than anywhere else. So my family and I, we came back in 2000. I got a job at a law firm downtown Cleveland, learned the ropes of litigation while I was doing that. Went to another firm after that, got even more experience. Then opened my own practice in 2006. And since that time, I've been on my own as a solo practitioner. And I've had over 30 jury trials, bench trials, and administrative proceedings. I've defended people who were accused of some pretty terrible crimes. And everybody talks about the heroin problem. I can tell you, I represented a woman who was having a real bad problem with heroin. And I saw the damage that it did to her life. So that's a problem that the Geauga County judges have to deal with. Locking them up and throwing away the key, that's one approach, but that's not the most effective approach. Incarceration alone won't solve that problem, like Greer pointed out. And the judge is part of that solution. Treatment works, or at least it can, if the individual is willing. And I've seen that it can happen, but it's very difficult to do. So the judge of Geauga County, along with Judge Burt, is going to have to address this problem. But it goes beyond that, too, because running the courthouse is administrative as well. While I was in the Navy, I was the chief engineer on a frigate, and I had 127 people who worked for me in a steam plant. So I was down and below the waterline for most of that period of time. But I also spent 2 years with the Marines as a staff officer out of Camp Lejeune. So I got to know that side of the Navy as well. What I'm getting at is this brings a wealth of common sense and devotion to duty. That's why I ask for your vote March 15th. Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to State Central Committee. For those of you who do not know, 1 man and 1 woman is elected. So women are running against the women, and the men are running against the men. And we do have 4 women that are here and 2 men. So we're going to start with Amy Sabat. which is going to...
In case you can't tell, I'm not Amy. I am Scott Kaiser again, so sorry about that. You'll learn one of my weaknesses is when strong, principled, conservative women ask me to do something, kind of have a hard time saying no. Amy Sabbath has been a good friend of mine for 10 years. She is far and away the most qualified person to serve us on the Republican State Central Committee, mainly because she did serve us on the Republican State Central Committee from 2006 to 2014. She served during the Bennett years and then during that transition phase that we had, and she's seen a lot. And she knows the bylaws of our party backwards and forwards. She knows the procedures. She knows the process, and she's committed to the principles that make our party great. Amy's been, to say that she lives politics would be a gross understatement. She's kind of been obsessed with it for her whole life. She has served on campaigns. She served as a regional field director for the Ohio Republican Party. She's a fundraiser. She works for Supreme Court Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor, helped get her elected in 2010, and again is running her campaign in 2016. A testament to her skills in politics is that Chief Justice O'Connor doesn't have an opponent. Amy has also been a fundraiser for Congressman Jim Renacci, a good principled fiscal conservative. She serves on the board of Birthright Lake County, very committed to the pro-life principles that make our party great. She is a staunch advocate for the unborn. She is the vice chair of the Lake County Republican Party. She has years of experience basically being a conservative leader for our party and is committed to doing what we need to grow our party and keep our party committed to the principles that make us great. So I won't take up too much of your time. She is a great candidate. I would encourage you to look into her. If you have any questions about her, see me afterwards. I'll give you her contact information. She'll be very happy to answer your questions. But again, I would encourage you to vote for Amy Sabbath for Republican State Central Committee in the 18th Senate District on March 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Next up, we have Linda O'Brien, who's also running for Central Committee.
I'm probably the shortest ones here, so I hope that you can see me as well as hear me. And I am Linda O'Brien, and I'm running for the female seat of District 18, Ohio State Central Committee. I want to focus in this short time that we have on why I'm running, because the purpose of this whole political campaign of mine, which I'm certainly not comfortable with because I'm more of a business person than a politician by a long shot, but the purpose of it is to help build and rebuild the Republican Party for the state of Ohio. We've heard all too often that the Republican Party today is not what it used to be. And I would like to see those days come back and that conservative viewpoint added back in. Our current state central committee has a lack of accountability and a lack of conservative viewpoints. And let me just explain to you why I say that. The accountability is an issue because they refuse to create a state platform. Platforms tell you what your values are and what your goals are. And as a business consultant, I know all too well that without a platform or without your core values stated and without goals that can be measured, you cannot be held accountable. When you can't be held accountable, anything you do is acceptable. That's not in our best interest, and that's probably part of the reason that Ohio hasn't been going red for these past many elections. I am very excited to see these young people here tonight. There is hope in young people. And I personally have brought a Liberty Camp, which is a camp which teaches children, grades 1 through 7, the foundations of what built America and why it's great. We teach it through reenactment, and they learn what America's foundational values are so that they can stand for those values in the future. It's critical that we teach our young people so that they will be future people like this. And thank you so much for what you're doing here. We really appreciate it. I'm not going to get into my credentials, obviously, in this short period of time, but you can visit my website. And because it's a rather long one and a new one for me, I brought business cards for anybody who's interested, but it is www.lindajobrien.forohio.com. I respectfully ask for your vote. I want to bring back accountability, honesty, and integrity to the State Central Committee and serve you and all the people of Ohio in a conservative manner. Thank you very much.
I have word that Mary O'Toole is here. Is that That is correct. So thank you for joining us, Ms. O'Toole, and the mic is yours for 3 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary O'Toole and I am the current State Central Committee person for Senate District 18. And the one thing I do agree with is that our party is in some kind of trouble. What's going on in Columbus is not a positive, and I don't think it necessarily reflects the people that they're supposed to represent. And one of the things that I have worked on down in Columbus is trying to hold people accountable and to bring people together. Because we have to bring all voices to the table. We have to have a way to make everyone in that room accountable to each other, regardless of the results. And the one thing I do know is that bullying and intimidation are not the way to go. And we've seen some of that down in Columbus, if you've watched any of the video. And we have to work as a party to make the party great again. I believe in this party, and I believe that we can make it great, but we have to work together. And that doesn't mean people always agree. But it means we have a process, we have bylaws, and we are good Republicans working together. And that's why I would like to be back down in Columbus for the next election cycle. Thank you. I ask for your vote for Mary O'Toole. Now, I have a couple minutes left, and I'm switching hats. My sister Colleen O'Toole is running for judge, and I apologize that I wasn't here earlier. A migraine was killing me, but she was unable to be here because she is out campaigning, and she is running for the Supreme Court. And she is another person who doesn't bode with the insiders in Columbus. She stands up for what's right. She stands up for the Constitution. She stands up for Second Amendment rights. She is a true, hardworking judge who has been involved in every facet of the law, both as an attorney and serving in the 11th District Court of Appeals. She's the most experienced person running in her race. She will do the right thing for our county. She will do the right thing for Republicans. And she is a voice that will stand up independently for what we need as Republicans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next up, we have Mary Pat Weist, also running for Central Committee.
I'd like to thank the Kent State Republicans and everybody here for the privilege to speak before you tonight. The cornerstone is a crucial first stone set and main support in any masonry construction. It's placed at the corner of the building and is the reference point by which all other stones are set, thereby determining the position of the entire structure. I'm Mary Pat Weist, and I'm humbly asking for your vote in my bid for the State Central Committee, Senate District 18. So why am I talking about a cornerstone? Because people make up the party, and the party makes the policies that affect us, our families, and our future. The State Committee is essentially the Republican Party establishment, who are the cornerstone of selecting party leadership, approving or amending bylaws. They finance and endorse the party's candidates who appear on the voter guides at the state and congressional levels, which have over a 90% election and re-election rate. These candidates should stand for the principles of our party and what the party believes But what we've been getting are self-serving elected officials who aren't working to preserve our liberties and the principles we adhere to, but are rather working for their own benefit, either a job, a pension, government contracts, or families in politics. And so we built that. We citizens have willfully surrendered our power and neglected our civic duty when it matters. In the spirit of our founders, we can fight City Hall, and I'm unwilling to give up. We must, for the sake of our state and nation, for the health of our party, revitalize and repair its structure, beginning with its deteriorated foundation by removing the rubble of corrupt, crony-conflicted career politicians and replace them with determined, principled citizen candidates such as myself who will select and endorse higher quality statesmen to serve the interests of and preserving our liberties and principles that we believe in, not their pocketbook. This is a non-paid position. I'm a single mother nurse, self-funding my own candidacy because my sons and their fellow veterans without hesitation give their lives, limbs, and sacrifice for this nation, and the least I can do is to return to them a state and nation led by equally selfless elected conservatives who adhere to our constitutional principles and policies. I ask that you send me to the SCC, and I pledge to work relentlessly to establish an Ohio Republican Party platform that mirrors the national platform and principles. I pledge to insist that the party adheres to fiscal responsibility and accountability, and also I also pledge to do something about intervening about their shameless self-endorsement for their continued candidacies. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 candidates left for the Central Committee man. We're going to start with Greg Sase. Is he? Sase. Yeah. Yes.
You got it right. Most people say Sass. It isn't Sass, but I have plenty of that. Apparently, for the establishment, I have videos that are going viral until, listening to what is going on here, I've been getting kind of upset because it's very, very easy for someone to stand in front of you and say, I'm a conservative, or call someone else a conservative. I mean, Amy Sapp and Dave Joyce conservative? I know them both. I am an alternative conservative candidate for the State Central Committee. I'm a retired federal prosecutor under Ronald Reagan, and I believe in Ronald Reagan's principles. When Ronald Reagan, his vice president, as you know, was Bush, George Bush the first. I guess it's like kings now. And when he was sworn in at noon, by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, every Ronald Reagan appointee had been fired. This is an old struggle. This is not new. It is a struggle for the soul of the party, for people who are actually going to do conservative things or people who are simply going to talk about it to get elected. I was protected by civil service regulations, and I was a prosecutor running around catching bank robbers who, I didn't bother them at all. The issues are too important to let this go on. We are all victims of big government. Our economy is a zombie economy. It's not really dead, but it's not alive either. We have unemployment, underemployment, overregulation, excessive taxation, and that's what's killing everything. Historically, our growth rate was twice that of Europe. Not anymore. We need to implement the solution, and the solution is simply President Reagan's principles. We did it then. We were in that terrible stagflation of President Carter, and we pulled out of it, and we need to do it again. The issues are too important to allow this to continue. The character of our opponents, the bullying, my opponent who will speak next stole my running mate's domain name while she was in Africa saving an orphanage. I'd like him to explain that. The tactics being used against us are brutal. They have money. We don't. We have principles, and we have a vision which will pull us out of the problems we are in. Vote for Linda O'Brien and myself for State Central Committee if you want that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Much of the line, especially all the candidates, try and keep it as civil as we can and no real personal attacks. Now we have the second man that's running. It is Scott Kaiser.
Me again. I am running for Republican State Central Committee. Just to address what Greg said, I bought Linda's domain on the free market. Didn't realize that was a crime, but I'll be happy to share screenshots. She spent 3 years personally and viciously attacking my family with that domain, so $3.99 is a small price to pay to just silence that. But I don't want to tell you who I'm against. I want to tell you what I'm for. I am a staunch conservative. I have been actively living my conservative principles since I turned 18 and gained the right to vote. I've been involved in politics since 2001. After college, I majored in political science and history at Miami University. After college, I went to work in politics. I have been a staffer for congressional campaigns. I worked for the Ohio Republican Party, so I have an upfront view of what goes on at our party and some of the issues we need to address. And I understand how the party works and the roles and the limits of the State Central Committee. Not a lot we can do to fight Obamacare or deal with some of the esoteric issues that were just mentioned, but we can support staunchly conservative candidates that can actually win instead of just settling personal scores. That's what I'm committed to doing. My wife and I live in Bainbridge Township. We are currently in the process of moving to Chester Township. I'm going to break from decorum here and give a shameless shout out to my great realtor, Jim Dvorak. If you ever need someone, he's great. And while you're back there, talk to him about the Township Association Scholarship Fund that the breakfast is coming up here. But I am a fiscal conservative. I am a staunch conservative. I come from more of the libertarian wing of the party. I don't think there's a lot that government should be involved in that's not explicitly in the Constitution. And I'll fight every day to maintain those principles. I'm also a pragmatic realist. This is a divided state. That's why we're a battleground every year. We have to elect the most conservative candidates that can win. So it's not just about supporting your friends that show up at the same meetings as you and limiting yourself to a small vocal minority. We have to look at every district individually and support the most conservative candidate that can win. Otherwise, we're just electing Democrats. So I can assure you that when I go to the State Central Committee, I will do everything I can to support conservative candidates that actually have a shot at winning and representing our principles and furthering our cause, not just going off on these esoteric rants and attacking people that get in my way. So I would humbly ask for your support on March 15th. Thank you.
All right, it's the question and answer time right now. Oh, we got one more? Yeah, sorry about that.
I would like to thank the Young Republicans here at Chad for inviting me to speak. I'm Denise Kaminsky, your Geauga County Clerk of Courts. I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was on my way home from Columbus, and I did make it, and I do appreciate the honor to speak. It's been an honor and privilege to serve as Clerk of Courts for almost 20 years, and I served in the legal office of Common Pleas Court 5 years prior to that under my predecessor, Betty Mondhague. I'm not going to take up much time. I know that the evening is coming to an end and you have a lot of questions for these candidates. I am unopposed in the primary and unopposed in the general election, but I did want to introduce myself and let you know that I have served in this capacity and I will continue the next 4 years to do the best job possible. My staff is very hardworking. I serve as Common Pleas Court Clerk in the courthouse, work well with Common Pleas Court judges, and I also have another responsibility of the Auto Title Office where we issue approximately 335,000 titles per year. Again, I appreciate all the support you've given me in the past, and good luck to all the candidates here tonight, and thank you again.
Now we're going to do the question and answer portion. I just want to thank you all for coming out and giving us the support. We support you. So I'm going to start with a question for all State Central Committee candidates. The question is, how will you keep our Republican Party great on a statewide level? You guys each will have a minute to answer. You can line up or you can just each go to the mic.
The question is how to keep the party great on a statewide level?
Yep.
All right. Well, I think it's simple. We need to adhere to the principles that make our party great. Fiscal responsibility, fiscal transparency, accountability, both personal and in the government sphere. And just keep those principles at the forefront when selecting candidates and when putting forth our campaigns. We don't have a platform at the State Central Committee. I actually oppose adopting the national platform wholesale. That's Mitt Romney's platform. It had input from New York, from Illinois, from California. States I don't really agree with, so I would like to see us develop a platform that reflects Ohio's conservative values, implement that platform, and then make sure that we adhere to it.
Well, I would say much the same thing. We need to stand for our principles and act on them. Too often, when it comes time to vote, it's like that song, laugh about it, shout about it, when you get to choose. Any way you look at it, you lose. And when we present candidates who aren't really conservative and won't actually scale back government, lower taxation, and lower regulations, there's no good choice. And when you vote for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for evil. And you don't get a change. That's why people vote and say nothing changes. Well, they're right, it doesn't, but it needs to. Big government has run its course. It is the cause of our problems. It's not the solution. The solution is to cut back on government and allow the free market to operate. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. I feel that one of the things that we need to really make this party great again is we need to talk. We need to have open dialogue. We need to agree to disagree sometimes. But we also need to stand by our principles. But bottom line, after push comes to shove, if we've had transparency, financial transparency, if we've had transparency in our candidates and transparency personally, and everything is out in front of us, and we discuss, and a decision happens, and it may not be what we always agree with, but we must come together as Republicans to be great again. We have a huge split in our party. We have a lot of corruption in our party. Those things have to be moved out, and we have to come together, even when we don't always agree as Republicans. Or we are going to be giving up the big picture down the road. When it comes to that final election, we're going to be in trouble because we fight each other. Thank you.
I would say, Mary Wiesties again, I would say we need to start at the foundation, as I had previously said. We need to clear up the corruption. We need to stop the FCC from endorsing themselves so that they can have their resources and finances for themselves to fund their own campaigns again. We need to go back to, we need to have a party platform. We do not have one. We need to go by our constitutional principles and liberties, and that is the basis, should be the basis of the Republican Party, or there's another party for you. Thanks.
Well, I agree on a lot of that. But I think any government should start with those core values. The same core values that we teach in our home. I was taught that you had to be honest, hardworking, and be a person of integrity. And my mother held me accountable for doing that. We need to do the same thing with our politicians. They are not hardworking. They are not honest. They seem to lack integrity, and they certainly don't want to be held accountable. People here in our state have to do their own homework and find out who is being truthful and who is running. And if we as Republicans come together saying what we are, what we stand for, then we won't fall for all these liberal rhino statements that are not Republican conservatives at all. And that's what I'd like to see us go back to.
All right, thank you all very much. Now I have a question for all the commissioners. Sorry. Everyone got a chance to go, right? Yes. Sorry about that. All commissioners, do you support public or private partnerships?
Ladies first.
The question is, to me, a little bit vague. I support both of those. There are some partnerships that have to be done publicly because of the scope of them, that one entity doesn't have the resources to complete a project. Private partnerships, I don't know, I have a problem with that. I mean, there may be an occasion where I would adopt a private partnership with say the Geauga Growth Partnership is one, where we would work with them to strive to push forward an initiative to bring more business into the county. And in that case, private partnership is good, but it has to be for the betterment of the public.
Thank you.
The Geauga Growth Partnership is one really good example we have here. We don't use the Geauga Growth Partnership to the way we should be using it. We have an opportunity, we have professional business people, professional leaders for the Geauga Growth Partnership that can really do a lot for the county. We don't use them. The Geauga County Commissioners should be using the Geauga Growth Partnership for their knowledge and their abilities to bring business into Geauga County. Our kids, many of them leave Geauga County and they never come back because they don't have the opportunities here. The Geauga Growth Partnership is one of those organizations that will bring these businesses here, and our kids will stay here. I've talked to a lot of kids, college kids and grads. That's the reason they don't stay here. They don't have the opportunities. We need to do this.
Thank you. I can tell you, if the question is about Geauga Growth Partnership, our current commissioners, unfortunately, have chosen not to belong to them other than Blake Rear. It was voted down. And I can tell you the City of Chardon is a proud member of Geauga Growth Partnership. We fully support their efforts. I got into government because I believed in economic development. I joined our planning commission. I was there for 5 years, and I got to know people in the community. I go out and talk to business owners. They tell us what they need from us. We reduced red tape. We got out of the way of the government's way of creating jobs and put some things in place that make it easier to bring jobs here. So I think it's a county commissioner's duty and responsibility to encourage economic development. If we aren't doing that, we're not serving the public well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next questions are for Bridie, Carolyn, David, and Mark. If elected judge, how many terms do you plan on serving for Geauga County?
Real easy. If I was elected, when the term is up in 6 years, I would be aged out. I couldn't run again for a second term. Some people might view that as a negative. I view it as freeing me from any concerns about making decisions of trying to get reelected or pleasing local public offices and things of that. I think it frees me up a bit. I cite to an attorney in Lake County named Joe Gibson, who entered into the judicial race up there for the first time in his life, just like me, ran for the Common Pleas Court in Lake County, and served very successfully his 6-year term, retired with everyone's respect, and I believe that's the role model that I would try and pattern myself after. But there will not be a re-election.
Thank you.
If elected, I would hope to serve multiple terms. I would point out that our current judges, Judge Fury has served 2 years. He's been in, or 2 terms, excuse me. He's been in 12 years, and Judge Byrd has been in office, I believe, 20 approximately. So our current judges have served multiple terms, and we've had a lot of stability in our court. Prior to that, we had Judge Inderlead, who was also a long-serving judge. I think that serving multiple terms provides stability for the court, and it's not so there's a lot of learning that has to be done. So I would hope to be there for several terms if the voters would choose to have me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. But yes, if elected, I would hope to also serve multiple terms. As Carolyn Paschke mentioned, there is a need for stability in the court, and if anyone is aware, the other Geauga County Court of Common Pleas judge in the General Division, Judge Byrd, will be aged out in 2 years. He will not be able to run again after his term is up in 2 years. So this will also help to provide stability, if elected, to continue to have multiple terms. Thank you very much.
Most I could do would be 3 terms. And as such, I would serve until the voters tell me to leave, because that's the best term limit there is. And if an elected official, including a judge, gets to the point where the voters are so angry they want him or her out, that's the best way to enforce term limits. So 3 would be the most I would do, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now this last question for the night before we have a meet and greet with all of the candidates and the community members is for any of the candidates that would like to take the stage. Please try to keep this a little under a minute, as you have been doing well with that. The question is, how will you defend Geauga County taxpayers if elected into office? So again, how will you defend Geauga County taxpayers if elected into office? And whoever wants to take the stage.
Well, staying on budget is one thing. When you're forming a budget, you have to look at your revenues and what your expenditures are. I served on finance and audit committees for the city of Chardon. We have about an $18 million budget. The budget for the county is a little bit more than that, but it's pretty much the same. If you can cut back anywhere, we did the performance audit. It's a great way to do that. I think the county is working pretty lean and mean, but sometimes, through attrition and things like that, sometimes you don't need to replace jobs, government jobs. Government doesn't, there's no profit in government. I say this a lot. There's only spending. And government does provide a lot of services, but we've got to make sure that those services are being, provided in a way that is meaningful to the residents here. And to the businesses as well. So anything you can cut back, great. Again, bringing new business in and bringing revenues in is key, because that's a way to bring money in, and you don't have to raise taxes.
Thank you.
I've been involved with budgets and finances, like I said, most of my life. Sometimes I dream of numbers, and I don't like it anymore, that part of it. But listen, as I told you, as mayor for 16 years, every year I made sure we had a carryover. I didn't spend money like a drunken sailor. I would do the same thing as a county commissioner. I would look really... Sorry about that. I was a Marine. What did I say? The best part. And, but as a county commissioner, I would be very fiscally responsible. I really would. I'd be meeting with that county auditor every day. I'd be driving him crazy. I really would. I can promise you that money would be spent wisely and not foolishly. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was up early, so my name again is Don Elijah Eckhart. I'm speaking on the national level. Our income tax is so complex. Many of you know that you can't even do your income taxes anymore by yourself. You have to have an accountant. Basically, it's because of all of these special loopholes and special provisions that have been put into the income tax. These need to be eliminated, because what they are, they basically benefit the rich and big business is what they do. So these need to be eliminated from the income tax. I'm also considering transferring to the fair tax, which would be a tax on consumption. It would encourage savings in this country, because savings would not be taxable. So we're looking at some new options. And by the way, I want to mention, I'm endorsed by some very conservative groups. We the People Convention, which is a Tea Party coordinating group. I'm endorsed by Citizens for Community Values in Cincinnati, also Ohio Pro-Life Action. So I'm not the incumbent endorsed, but I have many endorsements.
And thank you very much. Would anyone else like
Would you repeat the question again?
Don't want to ask the same question twice.
I do want you to ask the same question. I'd kind of like you to repeat that. I want to make sure I heard it properly.
Okay, now the question is, how will you defend Geauga County taxpayers if elected into office?
Defend the taxpayers' dollars? Is that what the question implies? I
Any
mean,
way
we
you-
don't have a military, so I can't defend the taxpayers other than fiscally. There's a lot of misconceptions about the commissioner's office, and some of the claims that if I'm elected, I will balance the budget. Well, the budget's always balanced. It's the law. We can't operate on a negative budget. The way you do it is prudently, and the commissioners have a history of doing that. We always have a carryover. We safeguard to make sure that the carryover isn't like, it's like a rainy day fund. If there's a burden that's put on the county unexpectedly, we've been very conservative and have the money to cover those. Any more explanation would take more than a minute. So, thank you.
Thank you. And of course, everybody will have options before the candidates afterwards. Is there any other candidates that would like to answer that question? Yes.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go back to the basics, the foundation. There's crony corruption going on at the basic level. At the SEC, they have an unaccounted over $100,000 of campaign finance receipts that the FEC, Federal Election Commission, continually, it's a chronic problem, is asking for explanations. Where is this money going? And at this point, we have to clean up the mess, clean up the crony corruptionism. It starts right there, and it trickles upward, actually. So that's it. Thank you very much.
From what I understand about the budget for the Geauga County Recorder's Office is that money has been returned every year and it stays on budget. So I guess this is not exactly going to help or hurt the taxpayer, but I would like to see the staff recognized for all the hard work they do there, and maybe review their salaries to see if maybe a wage increase is in order. That's all. As long as we have extra money, we might as well not put people that do that.
Thank you.
As recorder, we can only give wage increases that the commissioners allow us. We don't have the liberty to do anymore. However, I have been fighting to get money returned to the county from the Ohio Housing Trust Fund. In the years that I've been recorder, we've given them $6 million. Or we've brought in $6 million, we've given them $3 million. And I fought very hard to get half of that back, as I said before.
Would anyone else like to answer that question? Should I read it again? Going once, going twice, and that's a sold. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming out. We're not over yet. This is probably the last you'll hear me speak, at least on the microphone. I'm going to hand the mic over to Rob Allen again. He's going to close it up, and then we should have a little time if any of you would like to meet the candidates personally. Thank you. And thanks again for coming out, again to GTV, Kent State for providing the facility, and especially Rob Allen for being our advisor.
Come on, guys. Come on, Bailey, you too, come on up here. I just want to call these guys up here in front of you so they can all be up here. You guys get in front of me. This is about you guys. Again, folks, I want you to understand, in just under 2 weeks, they pulled this together. They took care of the advertising. They took care of contacting the media. They took care of contacting all of the candidates. These guys did a fantastic job in just under 2 weeks. It's the first time, I believe, in Geauga County in a long time that we've had a night like this where we can get all the candidates together and we can have a good time. We can invite the public in and really get to know our candidates so we can make informed decisions when we go to the ballot box. Again, this is the Kent State College Republicans group here at Geauga campus. And I can't tell you what a fantastic job. With coming out tonight as their advisor. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We appreciate all the candidates coming out. We appreciate everybody coming out to support this, all the people at home that are watching. And remember to go out and vote Republican in March.
Enjoy your company.